I feel like that's how I should always do the intro now. Very super car salesman-y. Haphazard here, Sunflower Dodge, and Olathe. I'm Rick Ingram. Welcome to Rick Ingram Talks to Strangers. We got another stranger here today. Henry Sir? Is that
Sir, that's right.
That's it?
Yeah, man.
Henry Sir?
Sir.
Man, that's so exciting. When I first looked at it, I'm like, is this going to be some British dude? And
Not British. No, it's Czech.
Really?
Yeah.
What, this is probably not the best place to start, but what is there a rivalry between the Czechs and the Slavs?
I have zero
No idea.
I'm not even
You're
remotely.
American through
Canadian.
and through. I'm sorry?
Canadian.
That's all the time we have today on Rick Ingram Talks to Strangers. Wow, you're Canadian?
I am a Canuck.
What part of Canada?
Edmonton, Alberta.
I guess I should have known. There's like a maple leaf going on.
Yeah,
on
I got
hat.
the Canadian hat, yeah.
Oh, my God. This is
Alberta basketball, baby.
absolutely despicable that you would put me in this situation.
I apologize.
This is like David Duke having to talk to a professor of African American culture. That's how much I detest our brethren to the north. So you live in America, though.
Yeah, I'm here now.
What's the preference? Do you like it better? Is it worse?
Oh, God.
You can be honest with us. I know we're piles of shit
No.
as a people.
So I grew up between Canada and the States, like Midwest, Minneapolis.
Okay.
So and spent so much time in the States. I'm not anti-American, but like there's a pretty hefty difference. Can't argue the weather down here, unbelievable.
Way better.
Unimpeachable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But it's Americans are much more intense than
Yeah.
Canadians.
Yeah, we pride ourselves on our intensity, our awfulness.
Freedom.
Freedom. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, man.
The more people complained over the last 2 years about their liberties being taken away, when it's really just like them being like, "Oh, I'm not going to sacrifice a thing to keep other people alive." God damn it.
Well, what's interesting is, I think at least, Alberta is I get why Americans don't know much about Canada. Like, we get all of your TV, we get all your music, your movies. You don't get the Canadian stuff, really.
We import the best you have in entertainment. We're like Rick Moranis, you're one of us now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Alberta is. Everybody says it's like the Texas of Canada. It's like all oil and cowboys and stuff. Alberta's nuts. Like, they tried doing this in August, that they were like, COVID's no longer a thing. Even if you get it, you don't have to quarantine. It's whatever. It's
Wow.
So I'm that's not too foreign to me. But even then, like, I thought Alberta was like the South, and I went to Nashville, and I was like, oh God,
Yeah, we're not.
this is insane.
Yeah, we're not this.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking to friends that used to live out here that moved to Florida, and they're just like, it's really not a big deal. And I'm like, oh, my God, you were a decent human being like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And now you're been bitten by the zombie, and you're a fucking animal.
It's a different world. It is weird how similar we are, and it's a completely, like, when I moved here when I was 12, it was like a legitimate culture shock. Yeah, I just was not. It's tough to specify exactly why, because I don't, like, if I was to, I think I'd sound like I'm shitting on Americans, and that's not what I'm trying to do. But I think as Canadians, we are much more mild-mannered.
Yeah.
Not that that's always a great thing, because Americans are way more fun than Canadians are. But you're just a lot more like in your face, and it's an adjustment.
I've yet to meet an actual Canadian that I thought, what a shitty person. I know they exist.
Oh, really? Oh, there's plenty of them.
But I love shitting on Canadians to their faces, because you guys are so fucking nice about it. There's not a demographic of people on earth that you can insult to their face that is just smiley and happy about it. They're just like, And then I didn't know until I started really kind of talking to Canadians off stage. And that's when I found out, like, oh, you guys judge the shit out of us.
Yes.
You've been raised to be so polite.
Very much
We
so.
don't know
Very much
how
so.
much you guys talk shit about us.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing I've always found growing up back and forth is we have a complete inferiority but superiority complex, because like we get it, like you guys have all the great entertainment stuff, and the second and before Schitt's Creek, if something came on CBC, just by like the film quality, you're like, oh well, this sucks, and it was made in Canada,
right?
But at the same time, there has always been that, like, well, at least we're not American, and like, well, that's true too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird little conundrum there, but I like the States. It's cool.
Do you love the band Rush?
No. I mean, I respect them.
So glad to hear that.
Yeah, Geddy Lee's voice is
one of the
horrendous.
Worst of all time.
Yeah. They have some jams, though, but they're a little too, they're geeky.
Neil Peart was a great drummer.
Unbelievable.
But, just awful. I went to college with a Canadian guy who spent so much time trying to convince me, like, dude, you got to listen. I used to always go, dude, they're legitimately Canadian sticks. That's all they are.
That's disrespectful. Come on. They're not sticks. They don't have Mr. Roboto.
Dude, they are not even close to as good as Mr. Roboto.
Mr. Roboto's a good song. That wasn't a good example.
They have, again, drummer is amazing.
Yeah.
Geddy Lee is horrible. I don't know any of the other people in the band.
Yeah.
It's one of those
Alex
things,
something or other.
Yeah, it's like U2. Bono, kind of pretentious, great musician.
Yeah.
Edge, pretty good guitarist. Then there's a guy named Larry. I don't even know
what
he
is that?
does.
There's a Larry?
There's a guy named Larry, and then the other dude, and I don't even know his name.
Can't have Bono, the Edge, and Larry. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I've never been a U2 fan, and recently I've been trying to listen to albums just to enjoy something different.
So have I, yeah.
So I started doing it like a year ago, and so like when I drive to the Comedy Store, it takes me about 40 minutes to an hour, something like that, just depending on traffic. So I'll listen to a whole album. So someone was like, we got to listen to Joshua Tree because it's amazing. I'm like, whatever. So I put it on, and they really come out throwing the heat. They got 3 bangers right off the top, and you're like, wow, this is pretty good. This is like their 3 best songs. And then the 4th song is just trash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they let Larry make a song.
Yeah, that was Larry.
They were like, you can do a song, Larry. And he was like, all right, here's what we're going to do. And it just turned out terrible.
I've been doing the same thing, listening to albums front to back. Can I ask you a question about Canada? What do you think of the Guess Who?
I think they're okay.
Okay.
They have a couple of songs that I think are pretty awesome. I'm not a huge aficionado of the Guess
fair.
Who.
I'm just curious because in Canada, they're especially like Western Canada, they're very much like the Guess Who. They were.
Is that
huge.
where they're from?
They're from Manitoba.
Oh, okay.
Which,
by the way, one of the funniest names of a place.
Regina and Manitoba are good.
Yeah.
Regina and Manitoba.
Regina, that's
Regina,
a place?
Saskatchewan. Regina,
so
not Regina. Regina.
Yeah,
that's
nice.
Ridiculous. But Americans don't think anything of the Guess Who. So I've just been learning that. I thought everybody thought the Guess Who was like this incredible band. But anyways.
Yeah,
sorry.
they're okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know a ton about them.
Yeah.
I know they have a few good songs at least, but.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting to hear.
And then the Bare Naked Ladies are the only other Canadian band I know, and they're one of the worst.
There's some really good Arcade Fire. They're great.
Oh, okay.
They're
I'm not
super
a huge
pretentious.
Fire, but yeah.
So pretentious.
Yeah, that's one of those bands where someone will tell you how much they love them, and you're like, I don't know if I like you.
Even though I like them, I'm like, I hate them.
I couldn't even tell you what Arcade Fire sounds like because I'm so sure that if they were a photograph, they'd be black and white.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So Arcade Fire, who else do you guys got?
I mean, there's not a ton of like oh God, I should know this stuff. There's so many like one-hit wonders, but then there's more like Canadian. Are you familiar with the Tragically Hip?
I do know of them.
They're
the lead singer died.
They're like
years ago.
they're like Canadian like royalty.
Yeah.
And I hated them growing up, but since like I appreciate more now, especially I don't live there, they're good. And then they're not necessarily new, but there's this band I really, really like called the New Pornographers.
The New Pornographers.
Yeah, give them a shot.
Solid name.
Great name, great band. Give them a shot.
Okay.
They have some really good music.
All right, I'll check that out.
Yeah.
And then you guys had a solid few decades of providing quality comedic entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
John Candy's, and isn't Lorne Michaels even?
He's Canadian. Jim Carrey's Canadian.
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Eugene Levy.
Yeah, I mean that whole crew of guys really kind of defined American comedy in a way. It was
totally.
Like you couldn't have basically all of the hits of my childhood without a strong Canadian influence.
Did you watch Kids in the Hall at all?
I did. I watched it. It used to be on Comedy Central all the time in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I would say half of it I thought was hysterical, and the other half I was like, what the fuck is going on? I don't even understand this.
And that's what was kind of cool about it, though.
Yeah.
Even when I didn't find it funny, I was like, there's just something kind of like punk rock about this and different. I'm echoing what Americans have told me. It's not like a pat on the Canadian back, but a lot of Americans seem to think Canadian comedy's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's always good to hear. But yeah, there's been a ton of heavy hitters from Canada.
I think part of it is that Canadians are so weird to us.
Yeah.
That
are we really that
like,
weird to you?
There's just like a bizarreness about you guys.
What is it?
It's the friendliness.
Yeah.
It's like you guys are Americans if you were friendly. You know what I mean? Like there's no. It always feels like when I talk to a Canadian, they're not trying to be something. They just are.
Yeah.
It to me that feels uncomfortable because everyone, especially in LA, is trying so hard to be something. Like it's almost as if you guys don't even care about branding. What's the deal with that?
I know. I think that is a thing with. I know you don't want to make it all about comedy, but like with comedy, I think a lot of Canadians we just started because like we like it. It's so off our radar of like going anywhere. Like I'm from Edmonton, Alberta. Like if you can't, that's impossible.
Yeah.
So you just do it because you want to. But I always thought honestly Americans were friendlier than Canadians, but that's because where I'm from is like a very like redneck, blue collar, angry place. But being in LA has definitely been like, oh, I was horribly wrong.
Yeah. They're way nicer there.
Yeah, there are some monstrous people down here. Great people too, but dear Lord, some of the worst people you'll ever meet. Yeah.
Well, I'm from Kansas, and so it's very conservative and redneckish, and I'm from the suburbs, so it's not quite as bad, but it's still a lot of conservative religious people, I guess. Yeah. But it seems like there's a lot of comedy that's kind of coming from the area where I grew up.
Oh, really?
And like Jason Sudeikis is from there, and Paul Rudd. Like they both went to my rival high school.
No way.
Rob Riggles went to one of the other schools. Yeah, Stone Street. So it's like there's all these people, and people were commenting on Facebook. Someone shared some article about Sudeikis. They're like, it's crazy how many people came from here that are so funny. And I wanted to just get on there and be like, we had to be funny because there was nothing to do.
Yeah.
For the entire time all of us lived in Kansas City.
Yeah.
If you're at all weird, then you just literally like, all right, what's my escape route? From the time you're like a third grader, you're like, all right, when I'm old enough to drive, can I just leave, or do I need to save up for a couple years?
Totally. I can definitely relate to that. Like the people I grew up around and like my brothers, like I never thought it was weird, but the older I've gone and have more frame of reference, I'm like, yeah, I guess we were kind of freaks, but that like you have to be to entertain yourself when you're in a place where it's winter like 7 months of the year, and literally at least once a year it's the coldest city in the world, and it's like you cannot go outside because you're in danger. I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but it like literally will get down to like minus 45 degrees Celsius, so you're just cooped up, bunch of lunatics, and you just make your own fun, and you're weird about it.
Drink your Canadian beer with the slightly higher alcohol levels.
The American beer it's no good. You got to figure it out.
Listen, here in the States, we drink our beer solely to get intoxicated. No one on earth is drinking American beer being like, my God, this tastes fantastic. Americans, we're a quantity, not quality kind of country.
I can see that.
So I
can definitely see the quantity.
Yeah, the amount of people I know who will happily drink 24 Natty Lights instead of drinking 6 decent beers.
Yeah.
And they're just like, well, yeah, but I'm just going for the effect. It's like, no, you were trying to escape living.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what's going on. It's just like, I don't want to know what my day consists of anymore.
That's like a new thing where I'm from, is craft beer is everything. But growing up, it was the kind of thing where it was like either, if you're a real man, you drink Coors Light.
Right.
And then if you like drink anything that they put any effort into, it's like you fucking
what
loser.
a fucking hippie.
Yeah,
pile
exactly.
Of shit.
Hipster. Yeah, that's always what it was.
Can we get an IPA for the guy who's gonna live in a tree?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was.
Yeah. I moved to Colorado summer after my freshman year of college, and that was my first time experiencing microbrew drinkers, I guess. In Kansas, everyone just drank Budweiser, Bud Light, Coors Light.
Yeah.
And then when I moved out there, everyone was drinking craft wheat beer. And Heffenweiser.
Yeah.
And then they would tell you about how great it is. I was like 19. I'm like, I just want to get fucked up.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to get enough of a buzz going so that when I smoke some pot, I definitely puke, but then I feel pretty crazy for a couple hours. Because I'm an American, goddammit. Yeah.
You're a pot guy?
I was, yeah.
Not anymore.
Now I eat edibles occasionally.
Big fan.
And it's a very enjoyable experience for me. But
Love it.
I was definitely a pothead for a long time.
Yeah.
When I was in college, we used to, if we were lucky, we'd get some of that BC's, which is what we called. It was just good weed.
Oh, okay.
But the claim was that it came down from British Columbia.
I was wondering if that's what.
Yeah, that was the thing.
That good shit. Yeah.
I would call my dealer at KU, and he would be like, "Yeah, man, you're lucky you called me, man. Just got a new crop of the BCs." And I'd be like, "Damn!" Yeah. And then I'm driving over there going, "What the fuck does that mean?" I didn't want to sound like I was a square, and I didn't know what that was. But
Alberta's very similar, man. I think I can relate a lot. There was actually a party. There was Brexit. In Britain. There's a bunch of people trying to do Wexit. They're trying to get Alberta to separate from Canada to join the States because we pretty much are Americans, but we get the same thing.
That's how terrible you guys are there?
Lunatics.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get the same thing. Like, this is BC Kush, and I didn't even smoke weed. I'm like, yeah, let's party. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, there's this dude. I don't remember what his actual name was because when he told me his name, it was like Jesse something. He's like, but you can just call me the Schnurr. I was like, all right, Schnurr, sounds good, man. And I remember just like making fun of him, and then he smoked us out, and it was like the highest I'd ever been when I was 20. And I was just like, dude, you know what? Fucking Schnurr's a good dude, man. I'm not gonna remember his name in 20 years, but my God, what a great guy.
You remembered Schnurr? Yeah, man.
Well, at one point I think I knew his actual name, but now I only know him as the Schnurr. So, but he was an odd dude, and he was from Montana or something, and that's how he had the connection to the Canadian goods.
Right up there. You should get the Schnurr on the podcast,
dude,
man.
If I could track down the Schnurr, I hope that's what he goes by on social media. And I can just look up the Schnurr. Yeah, he was a fucking weird dude, man. But that's the kind of people you meet when you're just basically staying alive in a place like Kansas until you feel like you're old enough and have saved up enough money to move anywhere else in the planet.
Yeah, man. I wish I had that thought earlier than I did, but it's very different there. Because again, it's like you might go out to Vancouver, you might go out to Toronto, but it's so different in Canada. We don't have that like dream of like New York or LA. It's it's a different world.
Do you look down on French Canadians?
I don't look down on because I just don't care. I think they look down on us more than anything. There's definitely the stereotype that they're just a bunch of snobs, but like I've never had a bad run-in with one.
Yeah.
And Quebec's like beautiful, so
yeah, that's what people say. Everyone's like Montreal is one of the greatest cities in terms of just like beautiful people, and
I have more of an issue with like some Toronto people, and it's a great city, but Toronto is such a superior, like as an Edmontonian, it's like you have the Canadian inferiority complex. Edmontonian.
I love that. That sounds like a superhero. Fucking
Edmontonian, man.
Yeah,
that's me. But you like everyone looks down on you. Like you get kind of looked down on if you're Canadian, and then the Vancouver people look down on you, and Toronto people look down on you. And if you say you're from Alberta, it's that like, oh God, it's the same like thing when someone here is from Florida. That's what we get in Alberta. But at the same time, I get it. But no qualms with the Frenchies.
All right, that's good. That's like the one when I would really try and push Canadians to hate. It's something I really enjoy. I like making sure everyone accepts that we all hate as much. It's just Americans are way more open with our hatred.
Yeah, you guys don't hold back.
No, we're terrible people. Again, you're saying you don't think we're terrible people. I'm telling you we are. But,
I mean, again, like I said, I've been in LA a minute now, and I'm seeing it. So don't worry.
What brought you to LA?
Like the comedy and writing opportunity. I'm lucky that I'm a dual citizen because for most Canadians, it's such a hassle to get your visa and whatnot. But my dad's from Iowa, so I'm just a dual citizen. And I was living in New York a bit pre-pandemic, and then some stuff made me think here's the spot and. Who the hell knows if it was the right call?
Yeah. You just got to live it.
Yeah, man.
Where in Iowa is your dad from?
Small town, like northeastern Iowa. It's called Cresco. Very small town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My dad lived in Bettendorf, Iowa for a while. So, it's part of the Quad Cities.
Oh, okay. So that's like by Illinois?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, another terrible place.
I have a soft spot for it because it's like we'd go and it's my grandparents' farm and whatnot. And I was like, man, I wish we lived here. But now, the idea of living in small town Iowa sounds horrendous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like 2 weeks when the pandemic was really starting to go that I'm like, it could be all right maybe to live in a place like that. And then I'm like, wait, I think I'd rather just die if I had to choose. Just put me on a ventilator in L.A. before I'm breathing fresh air in small-town America. Are you married?
I am.
You are. Where'd you meet your wife?
In college in Edmonton.
Old school. You guys got colleges up there now?
Great educations. Great educations.
What's the university up there?
There's a bunch. I went to this place called Concordia University of Edmonton, but there's also the University of Alberta, and we were both playing on the basketball teams and met her 14 years ago now, and yeah.
You were a college basketball player?
Yeah, I was.
How tall are you?
6'5".
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's legit.
Yeah.
And then do Canadian collegiate basketball players get drafted?
Oh God, no. No, I was pretty good. I was an all-Canadian and whatnot, but honestly, it's a bit of a nepotism thing because like my oldest brother, he played Division I down here. He's actually the all-time leader in NCAA three-point shooting percentage. He's a good player.
Really?
And because of his connections, I kind of sort of had interest from like the lowest level of some European teams where it's like I would have maybe broke even by the end of it, but no, not even close to being on the radar of getting drafted. Right.
Yeah. KU had Andrew Wiggins, and he was like a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, he's one of the best Canadian basketball players ever.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of been a disappointment in the NBA.
Yeah, a bit of a bust. A little bit of a bust.
But still, honestly, a very solid NBA player.
Oh, yeah.
It's just when you're drafted, I think he was drafted first.
He was, and everybody was saying he's the next LeBron James when he was like 17.
Yeah.
So that's kind of hard to go into.
When he signed with KU, I remember that it was a big deal. Everyone was like, we just got the best player in the country.
Yeah.
And we also signed that his freshman year, I guess he only played 1 year, but the 1 year he played, we had him and Joel Embiid.
Yeah, who's way better than Wiggins.
Yeah, and we were just like, oh my God, this is so great. And then we still just lost in like the Elite Eight like we do all the time.
All the time, every year.
Fuck.
Yeah, man.
And then they wouldn't draft Embiid because he had injured his knee. And
he's made of glass, yeah.
But, dude, it turned out all right for him, I guess. It was probably the best year of KU basketball we've had in the last decade at least.
Because you won a championship in like 08 or something, right?
Yep, that's exactly when. I'm so glad he knew because I would have sounded like a real rube to still be sitting on that KU championship. But we had lost to Syracuse in the early 2000s, and that was when I first came to the Comedy Store. And I remember I just started working here, and Steve Renazizi bet me because he just wanted to root for the New York team, I guess. And I was like, dude, we're so going to beat you. And then Carmelo Anthony kicked the shit out of us.
Oh, that was that. Yeah. When you had like Kirk Heinrich and Nick Collison and stuff. Yeah.
We had all the white guys from Iowa on our team.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good run for us there. Is this? I have written down here that you have a single released.
Yeah.
Is that true in Vancouver?
Yeah, there's a label out in Vancouver called 604 Records, which is, it's funny because Chad Kroeger of Nickelback's one of like the creators of it. Yeah, man.
Nice,
Alberta.
dude.
Hilarious. But yeah,
is he Canadian?
Oh yeah, he's from Alberta as well. Hannah,
Is
Alberta.
all of Nickelback Canadian?
Yeah, man. Alberta.
Dude, this explains so much.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah.
Think of Alberta and Nickelback.
Now I feel bad. It's like I've been making fun of mentally handicapped people all these years. Poor Nickelback. Do you guys even have a nickel up there? What's the story behind that?
Of course we have nickels, man. No pennies anymore.
No?
Do you guys have pennies?
We still got them. They're useless.
Yeah, we got rid of them.
The main thing that you have pennies for is it's important to have something to throw on the street after you walk out of a store.
Naturally.
And then if it's fun. You toss them out there. If you get obviously you're going to get 2 to 4.
Yeah.
And you throw them out there, and then you wait and see the lowest level Americans scurrying to pick up those pennies, and that's when you hit them with your car. Listen, there's a way more murder going on in these. We don't murder. Okay, I take that back. Sarah says we don't murder people for fun.
Stats say otherwise.
Do you guys have homeless people in Canada?
Of course we have homeless people.
That's dedication. If you're a homeless person in LA, it's low 60s at night.
Yeah, this is the Mecca.
You're up there in Canada.
Yeah, it's legitimately, like, not to make it heavy, but it's like really sad. When it's like going outside in my Gore-Tex snowsuit and everything's covered, and I'm like, I can't handle it. I'm getting frostbite, and then these people,
they're in a
on the
pair
street.
of socks.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Yeah, but it's not like here. Vancouver has a lot, but again, that's about as warm as it. Well, it is as warm as it gets in Canada. It's still not even that warm, but it's definitely not like what it is here.
What's the I'm sorry, where did you say you were from? Alberta?
Edmonton. Edmonton, Alberta.
Okay, and that's the redneck part.
Yeah.
Vancouver.
Edmonton's kind of, to be fair, Edmonton's kind of like the liberal bubble within Alberta.
Right.
It's like people have always said it's similar to like an Austin and a Texas. It's. I mean, I think that's really exaggerating, but it's kind of the equivalent.
It's a city.
Have you guys done Calgary? Calgary's nuts. It's nuts.
They've never let me in.
Yeah, Cowboys. There's yeah.
Basically stagecoach.
Nice.
But it's real bull riding and shit.
Yeah, and it's
That's
like
exciting.
like northern Alberta is much, and southern, and Calgary's kind of like central is much more like the blue collar, angry white people, and then Calgary's like the very affluent white collar, rich white people who are still just as angry about all the same stuff. And
It's
you know,
the Boston
is that it?
kind of mentality.
Okay, yeah.
Saskatchewan, I think, is like the real redneck, right?
People would probably say Alberta more than Saskatchewan, but I mean Saskatchewan definitely. That's a bit of a scene there too. Yeah.
What's the province that's the furthest east?
Oh God, it's a one of the maritime provinces. PEI, Prince Edward Island, I think, or Newfoundland.
Newfoundland. That's what I was
Newfoundland,
thinking
yeah,
of.
I'm an idiot.
Are those people weirdos?
Oh, they're hilarious. They're newfies. They just sound like drunken Irishmen.
Newfies?
That's what we call them.
Oh,
Have you ever heard
beautiful.
a newfie speak?
No.
It's wild. They just sound Irish.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I had a buddy who was from Maine who used to talk about how insane they all were. He'd be like, they all had drinking problems and
So nice though.
yeah,
So nice.
Yeah.
Nicest people. They're just so different than the rest of the country.
they had. I guess the people in Maine they would do hockey tournaments, and those were some of the people they would play.
Okay.
Was
Newfoundland was where the 9/11 planes were.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah, exactly.
hold on, what does that mean? That's where the 9/11 planes were sent to.
Planes that were in the air
Oh, okay.
were all sent to Newfoundland when the 9/11 attacks
Right.
happened.
So they just said everyone go to Newfoundland.
Get some hospitality. Yeah.
Wow, and they're like, listen, there might be terrorists on board. Send them to Newfoundland. They'll kill themselves before we have any more problems. Newfies. I'm so excited about new Canadian terminology that no one ever shared with me before. The newfie.
Yeah.
And then you said you moved when you first came to the States. You moved to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So dad is
from
American,
yeah.
and mom is Canadian.
Yep.
And is
Yep.
mom from Alberta?
Yeah, she's from Edmonton too.
And where did your parents meet?
Oh God, in Vegas.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic story of the boy from Iowa.
Yeah, the classic trope.
Where did they? What were they were just partying in Vegas?
Yeah, I've tried to know as little as possible about that story.
What sexual position do you think you were conceived in? I ask everyone this question. This is just part of the show. Wow. Okay. And so where does your family live now? They still in?
Everybody's still up in Edmonton.
Everyone's still up in Canada.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have a song about erectile dysfunction.
I do have a song about erectile dysfunction. Yeah. It was like so over. I just got here and like 3 weeks before COVID, and then I went back to Canada and I was cooped up there with the wife and just nothing to do. So I have a bunch of instruments and I was just figuring out how to like record stuff by myself just to stay busy. So I recorded some stuff and I know some guys at this label and I was like, what do you think of this? And they wanted to release it, but us as like a clown. Like I wasn't trying to come out with some like serious cool thing.
Yeah.
But I wrote this one song that I just thought it just had like a funny, very like Nickelback / like AC/DC, like real tough guy, macho feel to it. But I just wrote it about like I've been on antidepressants since I was 12 years old. When I was going through puberty.
Canadian, yeah.
So I'm no stranger to erectile dysfunction, and I just wrote a song, like a real like kind of cool, tough guy, macho anthem sounding song about performance anxiety and erectile dysfunction, and they wanted to release it, which I couldn't believe. But
That's hysterical and bizarre. What instruments do you play? And are
I
you
started
good at any of them?
I mean, I can play a lot of instruments, but honestly, like I'm always worried. I try and make myself sound sweet. It's like I've taught myself a bunch of instruments and I get proficient at them, but then I get kind of bored and try a new one. Like I played drums in bands when I was like a teenager and stuff, but then got really into guitar. Then I got really into banjo. Then I got really into piano. So I kind of played everything. I played the drums, bass, and guitar. Those are the only ones in the song. But
Okay.
yeah, little harmonica. Yeah.
You said you were in bands growing up?
Yeah, just like I was again, I still am. I'm such an insecure freak. But growing up where I did, expressing yourself was so frowned upon. And I had 3 older brothers that if we did anything outside of like going to shoot a basketball, it was just like, you fucking coward.
Yeah.
So I never wanted to like fully buy into it. But that's what
Couple
I love
ladies
doing.
over here playing music.
No, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So me and some friends, like we just would jam in the garage and like we played some shows and we just had this, we wrote some awful original songs, but we also just this little stupid thing we called the Hoodles where we just played Who and Beatles cover songs, and it was a blast, but was just too self-conscious to keep going with it. Yeah.
What did you have a good band name?
No. We always had terrible band names. We just like it was just like every other week we changed. Like I watched an episode of Boy Meets World, and they talked about a teacher named Old Lady Schneider. We were Old Lady Schneider for a bit.
It's a great band name, honestly.
I thought it was pretty good.
With the backstory to boot.
Yeah, man. So it changed all the time.
To boot.
We do say a boot. It's unfortunate. I never thought we did, and I heard myself say a boot the other day.
Sorry.
Yeah, I say sorry a lot. I got like shoulder checked at the grocery store last week so hard, and I apologized profusely to the guy who hit me. But yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah,
Canadian Cowardice.
I am a coward. There's no getting around that.
Canadian Cowardice, another great band name.
Yeah, that actually would be very good.
People always talk about great band names, but every musician I've ever talked to, they're like, I don't know, it's hard to think of a band name.
Yeah.
Like, Larry in accounting thinks he has 4 good band names that he came up with on the elevator earlier.
It's true. It's very true.
That'd be a good band name. You're like, no, it wouldn't, Larry. I will shit on anyone named Larry for the rest of my life, starting with you two and ending with Larry in accounting. All right, well, we're gonna come back in a second. Sarah's gonna ask some questions too.
Cool.
And she'll delve more into different things that she thought of while we were discussing the lesser qualities of your bronze medal of North America country. I got it in. I snuck in another insult. We'll be right back. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Say hi to everyday people.
We're rolling. We're back, guys.
We're back.
We're mid-conversation. We're having such a good time here talking to strangers. Sarah's here.
I'm here.
How are you, Sarah?
I'm great.
Yeah, life is good?
I'm good. I can't believe, actually, that this is our first Canadian.
I know. Unbelievable.
And you got to unleash all, and you didn't call him a dirty maple once.
I didn't call him a dirty maple. I didn't call him a frostback.
Yeah.
I didn't call him an icicle chucker.
I know.
I didn't complain about him coming down here and putting gravy on our fries. There's just so much potential that I'm glad I finally got him out now, but
I mean,
it just seemed it honestly, when he said he was Canadian, I thought, am I being set up right now? Is this a sting operation?
I didn't even realize that we hadn't had a Canadian, and so I'm like, I'm so excited.
What an honor.
But then also, like, you
the
being
Jackie Robinson of Canadians for this podcast.
That's what I've always identified as.
But you being from Edmonton is like, I was just saying, Edmonton is my favorite city in Canada because it feels like my people.
That's wild.
I know, but it's like everybody has a truck.
She doesn't like those bougie Toronto Canadians.
Those cultured swines.
Yeah, no, I don't want people speaking French, and I don't want water taxis in Vancouver. Like, I want people driving trucks through the snow to get to my comedy show. Like, that feels like my people.
Yeah, yeah.
I only mentioned Calgary earlier because of Stampede, but also because I really think Banff is like right outside of Calgary, and Banff is like the northern part of Yellowstone, basically.
That's the Rockies. That's where they have that beautiful lake up there.
Lake Louise?
Right? It could be. It's like
real
blue.
Lake Louise.
It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
World class.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah. My family went there 2 summers ago, whatever the summer before COVID was. Mm-hmm. And they sent me a bunch of pictures and just really rubbing it in my nose that they were traitors to this fine country.
You should go to Jasper sometime.
Oh, Jasper. I'd love to go there. Where's that?
It's like east. No, that's not true. It's west. Idiot.
Oh, you idiot.
But it's further
He's been
north.
gone too long.
He's talking about Canadian directions. Everything's the opposite up there.
The metric system.
You have to double it by 27 and minus 3.
Yeah. It's like Banff,
Even the
but just
South
like
is
less
north.
commercial.
Oh, I see. Oh,
great.
cool.
It's great.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But I was bringing up Saskatchewan. I was like telling you Saskatchewan because a lot of my friends, my one friend that played hockey in the NHL in America.
Oh, wow. But a lot of your professional hockey friends are from there.
Well, my number one hockey friend that's still like now he played in Calgary, but he lives in Toronto, is like best friends with Nickelback. So I'm actually really good friends with Chad Kroeger through him.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
Who is by far the nicest guy and so funny, and like he totally knows all of the
Have a good night, everyone. Show's over. There will not be any Nickelback complimenting on this podcast. That was the one rule, Sarah, when we started.
I've gone to his house here to listen to their like demos of like new songs.
Get
and I'm
out
like,
here.
this
They're
is
still
a jam.
making music?
Yeah.
I
want to
meet Chad Kroeger so
out.
bad. Yeah, everyone hates them, and they'll sell out Madison Square Garden 5 nights in a row.
A second.
Yeah.
So like, hate them all you want. They sell tickets.
They've done Alberta proud. I truly hope one day I cross paths with Chad Kroeger and kneel before him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think he's in my phone as Chadwick Kroger's because we call Kroger there's a grocery store called Kroger in the South, and everybody always called it Kroger's.
To the layperson.
It is the Ralphs of the South. It's called Kroger. The way that Carl's Jr. here is called.
Yeah. In Kansas, the Kroger grocery stores are called Dillon's.
Oh, interesting.
But when the pandemic was really raging in like May of last year, we were a couple months in, and a lot of the grocery stores had run out of their normal bags. I went to Ralph's, and I had all Kroger's. They gave me Kroger's bags, and I was just like, this is unacceptable. First, I got to bag my own groceries, and now you're giving me Kroger bags. I felt like I was in Mississippi, and I wanted to die.
Still one of my favorite Argus Hamilton jokes when he said, there's a bunch of kids down the street that got arrested for having a bag of weed. The weed is legal in L.A., but you can't have a bag here.
Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch.
One of my favorite jokes of all time.
Argus, you son of a bitch.
He really does write the most. But anyway, Chadwick Kroger's really great guy. But my other friend that played in the NHL was from Saskatchewan, and anytime he would come to my shows in Edmonton, he would bring Saskatchewan beer.
Pilsner?
It was literally like a local Saskatchewan beer. It was in a blue can. That's all I remember.
Okay.
But I was going to ask you, because you said the Canadian beer is superior, so I was going to ask you what your favorite Canadian beers are.
I mean, I don't even like it. I just feel like an allegiance.
Nobody likes beer.
It's better than American.
Except for like bougie, like Orange County or like Iowa, like IPA drinkers.
Right. I'm partial to. You got to say Molson Canadian.
Yeah.
Pilsner, Pilly.
Okay.
Crush a 12-y a Pilly.
Okay. Is that what they call it up there?
We talk
Pilly?
about beer. Oh, yeah, Pilly. Everything's like crush a fucking 12er a Pilly, boys. Like, that's how everybody talks.
Pilly boy.
Like, you never say you drink beer. It's like, fucking dummied a couple beer. You don't use the plural. They don't use the plural with beers. So it won't be like, I had 8 beers last night. It's like, I fucking crushed 8 beer. That's how we talk about beer. I'd say Pilsner's at the top. I have a soft spot for Pilsner, even though that's more the Saskatchewan beer. And, okay, now I'm going off.
That's okay. That's what we want.
Alberta Genuine Draft, AGD.
Oh.
Come on.
Come on.
Rick.
We all know about AGD, okay?
Yeah, man.
I haven't had a drink in 10 years, but if someone put an AGD in front of me right now, I'd be wasted by midnight.
There used to be this beer that was just a blank can, and it was just called beer.
No.
And it cost nothing. It was just urine, but out of principle, I would drink it. I'd crush it.
Yeah, that was Canadian Natty.
Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah.
My buddy he drank Natty Light until we were like 30, and he finally started drinking hard liquor. Because that's where drinking 20 Natty Lights a night will take you. Eventually, you're like, I got to drink half a bottle of vodka instead.
I've kind of gone back because I went on a big craft phase where everything had to be like a double hopped stout cherry IPA or whatever. Now there's another one. It's like the go-to camping beer because in the summers I've gone camping again, and it's called Lucky Lager. And it's literally, if I remember correctly, it's like the Molson Canadians that aren't up to code. They just put in this thing and call it Lucky Lager. Yeah. It's the best. I love it.
It's just slightly too high on the alcohol content.
Oh, it's just trash. Yeah. But it smells like home.
Canadians have like really strict food codes. You know how like in America, like So like in Canada, if one McDonald's fails a health inspection, they close every McDonald's in the country.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Wow.
Because they have nationalized health care. So they're like, we're not paying for you to get sick.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
So here in America, they're like, get sick all you want. Yeah. We can make money off of it
baby.
here.
Yeah.
I've still never eaten at Jack in the Box because
Mm-hmm.
in 1993, 5 people died. And there's like in Phoenix and in San Diego.
1993, where? In Kansas?
No, it was like in Arizona and in I think
In a
San
state
Diego.
that you've never lived in?
I'd never even been there. But we didn't even have Jack in the Box in Kansas. So I just remember it was on the news and being like, my God, that place sounds horrible. And then I moved out here and I'm like, wait, there's still Jack in the Box? I thought they closed them all. My buddy was like, oh, it's the best, dude. You got to go there. They have great tacos. I'm like, you're a fucking animal. I would never eat there.
It's weird because they have like burgers. I've never been I didn't know about the deaths, but same thing. All I ever heard was people go and poison themselves.
Yeah.
But they have like sweet and sour chicken and tacos and burgers.
They
Like
have a little bit of
they got to
everything.
pick a lane.
They're like the Cheesecake Factory,
agree.
but
Yeah.
for fast food.
Choose what kind of terrible food you
Yeah,
make and
exactly.
serve it.
See, I didn't eat at Bojangles for a long time growing up, but that was because it was not because someone got food poisoning. Someone got murdered at the Bojangles in Calhoun.
That's what happens every time you go to Bojangles. People get murdered. That's a fact.
It's not a fact.
Is that not true?
I don't even think they have them anymore. They might.
I
Never heard of
assume.
I'm
Bojangles.
sure
Yeah, me
Chick-fil-A
neither.
put them out of business. Anyway, I wanted to hear your best Edmonton redneck story.
Okay.
Do you have one?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you do? He said, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't mean to put you on the. I was like,
No,
I don't
no.
mean to put
He
you on
was
the
like,
spot.
I'm glad you asked.
He's like,
No.
which one do
This
you
is
wanna
like
hear?
a Jay Leno thing. So, you ever had a crazy story happen to you while you were in Edmonton? Well, you know, Jay, I did.
That was a good impression. I mean, everywhere. It's like growing up, like just enough stuff happens where it's like the amount of times I've almost gone a fist fight with a guy and not a word was exchanged. Of like, I'm just like walking down the street and there's a guy dressed like a cowboy by like a monster truck, and I just look at him and he looks at me and he just like gives me this and I'm like, and then before we know it, we're like face to face. We haven't then just. Walk out like that happened all the time, but I don't know.
Boredom fighting at its finest.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll find this funny, but for me, it was like a game changer. I worked at this landscaping supply place, and I just did like grunt work in like the lower yard, whatever. But I went up to like the vending machine one time, whatever, and there was just this dude, like if Alberta was a person, it was this guy. He had like this crazy wolf jacket on, and like a handlebar mustache, and like a Harley Davidson hat, even though he's never been on a bike.
Sure.
And he was just like, yeah, you got a soda vending machine, eh? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I used to work in a place just like this, and it always said out of order. And one day I see the boss come in, and he thinks nobody's here, and he unlocks it with the key, and I see he's got beer in there, and I'm like, cool. And then he's like, so you know what I do, right? And so he just said the next day he broke into the boss's office, took the keys, unloaded the beers, and quit. And I was like, you just worked like another hour and got that many beers.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I just thought it was a perfect like obsession with beer and loving beer and working at like a grunt job is just currency there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, that was like I was
That is defining of like this is us.
That's when I was learning. I didn't know Edmonton. Like I had no frame of reference. I didn't know Edmonton was so redneck, and I was like, oh God, these are my people.
He literally thought to himself, I can find a job this shitty anywhere.
Yeah.
But I can't get that much beer right now unless I do this.
Unless I can't get 11 beers.
It's a man
right
who's living
now.
for today.
Yeah,
I respect that.
I
Mindfulness.
remember the first time I ever went to Canada was actually Calgary, I was up there and we were out to eat at a restaurant, and I remember seeing the jam caddy. So in a jam caddy in the middle of a table when you go out to breakfast in America, it usually like has jam and butter in
Right.
the middle caddy that's always on the table.
Yeah.
And this particular caddy had jam and butter and Cheese Whiz in like a little tiny jam container.
Cheese Whiz?
Cheese
Cheese
Whiz.
Whiz.
And I was like,
Ugh.
I had no idea what was going on. So I asked the waitress, I was like, I know what the jam's for and I know what the butter's for. What's the Cheese Whiz for? And she goes, your toast. Like, she got so mad at me. And I was like, oh, sorry. Like, duh.
Is that what you think Canadians sound like? Toast?
Yeah. You're like, oh, Like, you're told?
That's
you
wild.
fucking dumb American. Get the fuck out of our restaurant, twat. Whoa, jeez.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
See, that was Calgary. It wasn't Edmonton.
Calgary's
Edmonton
nuts.
would have always been that. So Edmonton also has the bigger Mall of America. The Mall of America is in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
West Edmonton
But
Mall.
the Mall of Canada,
West Edmonton
there's
Mall.
the
yeah.
West Edmonton Mall, which
Yeah.
is where the comedy club is
Yeah.
like bigger than the Mall of America.
Huge.
And it's
That's
awesome.
what they pride themselves on.
Yeah, it's great.
Great water park.
Yeah, they have
In
a
the
water-
mall?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they have like an amusement park, a water park, movie. It's insane.
Wow.
It's insane. When you grow up there, you're trying to avoid it at all costs. But yeah, the comedy club's there. So
yeah.
I'm into it. I didn't realize there was parts of Canada this despicable. I am totally on
Oh,
board
they
now with that
exist.
part.
They exist. You don't got to look far.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was just a part of Canada that was so American.
It's very and like I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on it too hard because it is, it's where I'm from and I love it, but it's nuts.
We
It's
all
nuts.
shit on where
exactly.
we're from.
Exactly.
We all shit on where we're
That's
from.
true.
Except for me, because I'm from the perfect place. The wheat capital of America.
Do you talk about Canada in your act? Like,
I
know
mean,
you do
a
stand-up.
little bit. It's just like I can't get specific about anything because for the most part,
We don't know.
Americans have no idea.
Yeah.
So like I can kind of just like I'll say I'm Canadian and people will laugh at me.
Yeah.
And I think like right off the bat, like, oh, he's a goof.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps to acknowledge it, but I don't.
Yeah.
A litlittle bit, but not much.
What do you talk about in your act? like-
Outside of Canada?
No, yeah,
Oh,
just here in this. Like, what is like the like? Do you talk about your wife or?
Like honestly, like pretty much my whole act of like doing almost like 10 years was pretty much just like I find this interesting. It was just
Oh,
like
okay.
observations, but I don't know, like I'm getting to that point of being much more like introspective and being more like honest about like I don't know, just the parts of me that I think are unique. I really love talking about, this is going to sound ignorant, but like race and gayness. Not like
Yep.
making fun of gayness. It's just again like I have kind of a different experience with like sexuality, like again never having a sex drive. I was never like some macho dude, and I always found that very interesting, and I have so many jokes that relate to homophobia because everyone around me was so homophobic. So I really like talking about social stuff. That's
Yeah.
mainly what trying to just do stuff I find interesting and not what everybody else is
Are there not
talking
a lot
about.
of gay people in Canada?
Tons. It's just you grow up. I'm not to do the bit, but like grew up in that era where all you did was call things gay.
Yeah.
And everything was gay. And
Yeah.
especially like if you're a dude, everything, like the worst thing you could be called was gay, but nothing you could do didn't make you gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
If
It's
you're
how,
not drinking beer, you're
Yeah,
gay.
exactly. So I really like talking about that stuff, and
Yeah. I was similar. When I grew up, that was it. You just called everyone
Yeah.
gay for anything.
totally. Put
and
no
then
thought into it. Yeah.
When I told people I was moving to LA, that was the main thing that people in Kansas said. They were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, really, man? What,
Exactly.
Did you tell your parents yet?"
I know.
I'm like,
I know.
yeah, I'm moving out there because I love cock. I
Yeah,
bet you do,
exactly, man.
You guys hear Rick's moving to LA? Woo!
Again, not trying to do material on you or anything, but I've been talking about this stuff. Like, my friends found a poem I wrote when I was 13, and it was like, oh, he's legitimately gay. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just expressing myself.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
They're like, keep your emotions inside, man. If
I'm
you
an
want to hang
angsty
out with
kid.
us.
I'm an angsty kid. That's all
Yeah.
it is.
You're supposed to get fucked up on beer and punch
Yeah,
yourself in the
man.
face
Yeah.
when you have feelings of
Exactly.
softness.
Go fight a
Exactly.
cowboy like a man.
Yeah.
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 No, I feel you. I mean, I grew up in Georgia and he's in Kansas, so it's
Yeah,
like,
it's all very similar.
yeah, it's all
Yeah.
similar. And I
Yeah.
think any small town in America is similar.
Mhm.
Like, if you don't grow up in New York or LA, you're
know.
like,
Yeah.
it's different.
Lucky
It's
bastards.
just different.
It really is.
Do you have things you want to promote? Anything you want to put out there?
I mean, I hate that it's such a part of
Please
the game,
don't
but
be- yeah.
that's just
It's
my
okay.
nature. I mean, if people just follow me, that's currency now. It's
Yes,
at
it
Henry
is.
Sir 33. That would be great, but I'm just down here plugging away,
How
working
long
on.
have you lived here?
So like really just since the spring, because the
Right.
before COVID thing didn't
Mhm.
count. Was in the States a while in New York, and then had a vouch here, so I was like, screw it, let's do it. And then timing could not have been worse.
Yeah.
But I think it was the right call because I'm here from like the comedy and the writing opportunity. But it's really hard here when because I'm very much like a stand-up who's like needs to be on stage and like jokes and stuff. And there's times where like I have like a show week. I'm like, I'm not a stand-up. Like What the hell am I doing? It's a crazy city. But anyways, that was a terrible answer to is there anything I want to promote?
We all feel like that.
Yeah,
And we all go through those times where we're like, I'm not funny. I don't know why I'm doing this ever. I should not be calling myself a stand-up because I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't have anything new to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but Henry Sir 33 on Instagram. Is that also the same on Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
You're really fascinating and
thank you.
charming and like really easy conversation, I feel like.
Top 1 Canadians I've ever met, by far.
That's a lot for Rick because honestly,
I was so close to leaving.
I know.
I'm like, this is a principle thing for me. I don't stand for a lot. But.
I didn't even know he was Canadian. We didn't book
right.
him. He
You're
didn't
just
say
saying that because you want to stay the producer, and you know this is a fireable. I know the show doesn't exist without you, Sarah, but this is really.
It doesn't exist without me.
All right. Well, thank you for being on.
Thank
Henry.
you very much for having me.
thank
This was
you.
fun.
Keep listening.
Come
Tell
to our
your
live
friends.
show.
Come to the live show.
December 8th in the Valley Room at the Comedy Store.
Yep. Tell your friends,
Yeah.
Let them know if you have friends that are in LA that want to be interviewed or you want to be interviewed while you're here. Reach out to us at Ingram Pod or
Ingram Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Let us know. Tell us something interesting about yourself, and maybe you can be a guest too.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
If you'd like to be a guest on our show, please DM Ingram Pod on Twitter. That's INGRAHAM Pod on Twitter.
Goodbye to everyday people.
Special thanks to the Comedy Store and to Brian Rips for the dope-ass music.